Good morning. So, dear students, hope you are well. And first of all, can you please type in the chat box if you can hear me and watch me properly? So, today's class is all about comparison, and you know that in your speaking and writing, you need to use a lot of comparison. So, after having today's class, you will understand how to utilize them in your speaking and writing, and it's gonna give you some sort of benefits, especially in IELTS writing task 1, because you know in your IELTS writing task 1, so you might be given some sort of graphs, pie chart, bar chart, whatever it is, right? So all you got to do is you need to show your English proficiency, doing a lot of comparison here and there, and if you utilize some sort of standard vocabularies, so definitely you're gonna get a good result. So can you please type in the chat box, how are you today? I'd like to see your comment, then we're gonna start the class in a minute. So let me see if I'm audible. Okay. Okay. Now I can. Okay, thank you for joining today's class. Now I can see a few comments. So Saifun said, hello, sir. Hello. Thanks for joining today. So today's class is all about comparison, right? So before starting the class, I'd like to ask you a few questions, whether you still can remember or not. Just I'd like to check with you. So first question is, can you remember that what's the medicine I have given you if you are struggling to get your fluency? Type in the chat box, I'd like to see. So what's the medicine I have given you if you are struggling to get to fluency? For example, if you'd like to improve your fluency in English, so what's the medicine I have given you and what to do with this? Please type in the chat box. Okay, now I can see a lot of students are joining right now. Russell Kabir said, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Wa alaikum salam. Hope you're well, Russell. Okay, so next one is, I'm not sure what the name is. Hello, sir. Okay, hi. So now type in the chat box very quickly. So if you're struggling to get your fluency, so what's the medicine I have given you? Can you remember? I told you about the medicine. That's the 4 questions you need to practice every single day, 3 times in a day for next 30 days. So the first question is, what do you do every day? Second question is, what does your favorite person do? Third question is, what did you do yesterday? And fourth question is, what will you do tomorrow? So if you practice these 4 questions 3 times in a day for next 30 days, you will see you are not having any issues regarding your fluency. You can speak naturally, you can understand as well. So that's the things you need to do. So if you understand me, what I just said, please type in the chat box 4 questions. The medicine is 4 questions. So you need to practice 3 times in a day next 30 days. Okay, now I'm gonna share my screen, and definitely we're gonna jump into the class. And today's class is all about comparison, and probably you know it as degree. So this is the class we're gonna do. So, and also I'd like to thank you one more time that you are still here. It's a marathon course every single day. So we are on the class number 9, right? A lot of students probably they couldn't manage it to join the class, or probably somehow they missed it out, but you are here. So I would like to congratulate you to continue the course, right? So these are the medicine I have shared with you. And so can you please answer me? So which country is the smallest in the world? Type in the chat box, which one is the smallest country in the world? I'd like to see your comment very quickly. So the smallest country in the world and the largest country in the world. I'd like to see your comment. I'm checking your general knowledge, right? So by the way, today something happened is very interesting. You know, our time, I mean British Standard Time, is what is called is went 1 hour earlier. So that means now it's not 8 o'clock in the UK, it's 9 o'clock in the UK. So basically these things happen during the summer, right? So would like to get more time during the daylight, so that's why the timing has been adjusted. So now is 9 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. So what's going to happen is next class, we're going to start the class 1 hour earlier. I'm so sorry for quick notice, short notice, but this is how I need to deal with, because you know, once I finish my class, then I go for a run, then I take quick shower, then I go to office. So if I start class 1 hour later, so I cannot adjust with my schedule and office and all that stuff. So that's why I'm so sorry for that. So next class will be 1 hour earlier. So that means, so now is 9 o'clock, right? So the class will be at 8 o'clock. So it's 1 hour earlier. So that means 7 o'clock in BDT, Bangladesh time. Okay, so please type in the chat box very quickly. I'd like to see. Okay, I'd like to see if you know the smallest country in the world and the largest country in the world. Type in the chat box very quickly. Okay, so you know the smallest country in the world is Vatican City, and the largest country in the world is Russia. You know Putin, right? So yeah, these are the two countries, the smallest one and the largest one. Can you please type in the chat box very quickly? I'd like to see your comment. So which one is the smallest country in the world, and which one is the biggest country or largest country in the world? Okay. Okay, now I would like to make some sort of comparison between these two countries, so Vatican City and Russia. Only two countries, we're gonna do some sort of comparison. So we can say Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Can you please type in the chat box very quickly? Because if you don't share with me whether you can write it or not, I will not understand otherwise. So please type in the chat box. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Okay, and Russia is larger than Vatican City. I'd like to see these two sentences in the chat box. So please quickly type in the chat box. These are the two countries I'd like to see. So Vatican City is smaller than Russia, and Russia is the larger than Vatican City. And you know, the difficulties I'm facing is to, I mean, once you write on YouTube, it comes to me a bit later. So I need to wait a bit extra time to see your comment, to see your answer, to see your response, and then I need to move on. So it's better, I mean, if you help me just writing quickly. So whatever, I mean, I'm asking or I need to answer. So please type in the chat box these two sentences. Vatican City is smaller than Russia, and Russia is larger than Vatican City, right? So now we're gonna do a lot of comparison, as I told you. So the first sentence you said, Vatican City is the smallest country in the world, and Russia is the largest country in the world, right? These are the two sentences you gave me. So now we are making comparison between Vatican City and Russia. So Vatican City is smaller than Russia, and Russia is smaller than Vatican City, right? So now, how many countries are there in this slide? Can you please type in chat box very quickly? How many countries you can see on the slide? Let me make it a bit bigger so that I can see probably. Okay, so how many countries you can see on the screen? Type in the chat box very quickly. How many countries? Okay, thank you for responding. So there are three countries you can see on the screen: is Russia, Bangladesh, and Vatican City, right? Three countries: Russia, Bangladesh, and Vatican City, three countries. So now my question is, now can we make comparison among these three countries? Okay, this is the thing. I mean, two words you need to understand when we're gonna use it. So if you get something like to do the comparison between two things, we use between, and if it is more than two things, then we use among, right? So now we're gonna make a lot of comparison among these three countries: Russia, Bangladesh, and Vatican. Are you ready? Type in the chat box if you're ready. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I will okay, so these are the sentences you can see if you do a lot of comparison. So Vatican City is smaller than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is larger than Vatican. So Vatican is the smallest country in the world and Russia is the largest one in the world, right? So these are the sentences we can do comparison among these three countries. So it's better if you just practice with me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Give me all the sentences. Vatican is smaller than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is larger than Vatican. So Vatican is the smallest country and Russia is the largest one, right? So can you please type in the chat box how many sentences you made? I'd like to see your comment, then I'd like to go forward. I'm not sure why I can't see any sort of comments. Can you please type in the chat box? So how many sentences have you made already using these three countries? Doing the comparison among three countries. Type in the chat box how many sentences you made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you made 6 sentences, please type in the chat box 6. Type in the chat box 6. Very quickly, please type in the chat box 6. Okay, I can see. Okay, so we're gonna practice one more time. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Vatican is smaller than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is larger than Vatican. So Vatican is the smallest country and Russia is the largest one. Okay. Now, yeah. So now I can see, you know how to do the comparison. So now we're gonna make a lot of comparison with other things. So now we can see is there are 3 things on the screen: is pond, river, and sea. So I really believe that, I mean, you do understand what's the meaning of this: pond, river, and sea. So pond is the smallest one and sea is the biggest one, right? And so we'd like to make a lot of comparison between among these 3 things. So we're gonna go small, smaller, smallest, and then big, bigger, the biggest. This is how we're gonna make comparison, right? So let's move forward. So this is how you need to make comparison. The size of pond is smaller than the size of river. The size of river is smaller than that of sea. So instead of saying the size of, we can say that of, right? So for example, in our speaking and writing, instead of saying Tony, 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 we say he, right? Instead of saying rice, 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 we say eat. So instead of saying Rohim, Korim, and Jennifer, we say they. So the use of these things is a bit similar. So all you got to do is you need to say the size of river, and then in the next part you can say that of. You don't have to say the size of. For example, the first one I said the size of pond is smaller than the size of river. Let me repeat: the size of pond is smaller than the size of river. So next sentence you can say the size of river is smaller than that of sea, and the size of sea is bigger than that of river, and the size of river is bigger than that of pond. So which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest? You can easily say the size of pond is the smallest one among these 3 things, and the size of sea is the biggest one among these 3 things, right? So if you follow me and if you understood how to make this comparison, please type in the chat box understood. Very quickly, type in the chat box understood. I'd like to see how many of you really understood this comparison. Okay, one more time, I'm gonna repeat. So it's better, I mean, if you practice with me. Ready? So when I say go, you need to give me these sentences, right? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. The size of pond is smaller than the size of river. The size of river is smaller than that of sea. The size of sea is bigger than that of pond, river, and the size of river is bigger than that of pond. So the size of pond is the smallest among these three things, and the size of sea is the biggest one among these three things, right? So please type in chat box understood if you really understood how to do the comparison among three things. Okay, thank you for responding. So Fazlu said understood. Okay, now we're gonna go a bit further, so make sure you practice with me. So how many things you can see on the screen, right? So these are the three things you can see: village, district, and country. Village, district, and country. So village, you know, the smallest one, and country is the biggest one. So now we would like to make some sort of comparison again. So are you ready? Are you ready to do some sort of comparison? If you are ready, please type in the chat box READY, ready. So I can see a lot of comments right now. Shuman Ahmed said assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam, Shuman. Thanks for joining the class. Fazlu said understood. Okay, thank you for responding, Fazlu. Alamgir Hussain said assalamu alaikum, sir. Walaikum salam. Okay, so now we're gonna do the comparison, because today's class is all about the comparison, and the importance of doing a lot of comparison is gonna prove that you have got some sort of English proficiency. That means if you can compare here and there, and especially in IELTS task 2, you'll be given a topic to write, and most of the time it comes like by pie chart, bar chart, or something like this. So if you'd like to describe those sort of things, you need to really know how to do the comparison, all the stuff. And if you know how to do the comparison, and especially in IELTS writing task 1, is going to help a lot to get a better score. So now, okay, so a lot of students are saying ready. Okay, so that means now we're going to do the comparison. So we're going to make 6 sentences. So we can say village is smaller than district, and district is smaller than country. Country is bigger than district, and district is bigger than the village. So among these 3 places, village is the smallest one and country is the biggest one. I repeat. So this is very, very important, right? So all you got to do is you need to do a lot of comparison. So let me say that one more time so that you can understand. So we're gonna make smaller, then bigger, and smallest and biggest. So these are the 4 sentences we would like to use. If you know these 4 sentences, that means you know how to do the comparison, right? So the first one is village is smaller than district. Can you please type in the chat box very quickly? I'd like to see your comment as well. Village is smaller than district. Then district is smaller than country. So country is bigger than district, and district is bigger than village. So village is the smallest place among these 3 things, and country is the biggest place among these 3 things, right? So keep typing. I'd like to see these 6 sentences if you can make it. And if you can make it, that means you understand how to do the comparison. And the same skill, I mean, when you apply in your IELTS writing, you will get a better score. There is no doubt, right? So I'd like to see in your comment box 6 sentences how you're gonna make it. So the first one is village is smaller than district, and second one is district is smaller than country. Then third one is country is bigger than district. Then district is bigger than village. So among these 3 places, village is the smallest one and country is the largest one, right? So I'm eagerly waiting to see your comment. So I'd like to see these 6 sentences. So if you can make these 6 sentences very quickly, that means you understand how to make comparison, right? Very quickly, type in the chat box. I'd like to see. Okay, so Fazlu said village is smaller than district, and district is smaller than country. Okay, Fazlu, thank you for responding. So I'd like to see in other way as well, right? So the country is bigger than district, and district is bigger than village. So village is the smallest one and country is the biggest one. Okay, Maruf Villa said I live in village. Okay, Maruf, thanks for letting us know. Okay, I'd like to see 6 sentences. please type in the chat box very quickly. Okay, just I'd like to remind you, so tomorrow's class will be 1 hour earlier because the UK time has been changed. So I need to adapt with the time. So if you are joining this class from Bangladesh, so make sure you come to the class, tomorrow's class 1 hour earlier. So it's gonna be this what is called I think 1 o'clock. Is it 1 o'clock? Yeah, so the class will be 1 o'clock. Right, so if you really understood me, please type in the chat box what time the class will be started. Type in the chat box. I would like to see if you really understand, because what happened today morning, I have started the class at 8 o'clock and I have seen there are no students in the class. So I thought, what happened, right? So then I realized that, okay, yeah, I'm right as well. So I have started the class 8 o'clock, but students, they know the class like in BDT time, their local time. So their local time hasn't been changed, but my time have been changed. So all we got to do is we need to just adjust with this thing. So yeah, so your class will be started 1 hour earlier. Okay, so please type in the chat box what time your class will be started tomorrow. Please type in the chat box. Right, so okay, thank you for responding. Now I understand that you okay. Now I'd like to give you some sort of connectors, and connectors means ornaments. You know, especially the ladies, when they wear jewelries and ornaments, they look very beautiful, right? They look gorgeous. So in speaking and writing as well, if you use connectors, it sounds really good, really gorgeous. So that's why from now on, we would like to use some sort of connectors. So can you please type in the chat box if you really understood me? Connectors equals ornaments. Connectors equals ornaments. So already you have used a lot of connectors in your speaking, in your presentation, but this is the thing you need to make sure that you use in your speaking and writing. So please type in the chat box, connectors equals ornaments. Connectors equals ornaments. Very quickly, please type in the chat box, connectors equals ornaments. I will see your comment. Connectors equals ornaments. Right, so if you'd like to use the connectors, how are we gonna do it, right? So you start with first of all, or at first, right? Then you're gonna use moreover, then furthermore, also, and. These are the connectors you are using. And after that, if you'd like to say something different, for example, opposite, whatever you have said, then you should use some sort of connectors that changing your direction. So for example, however, but, etc. Right? And once you finish it, then you can say finally, lastly, to summarize, I would say da 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 da. So this is how you need to use connectors. So please type in the chat box, connectors equals ornaments, right? So you need to use a lot of connectors in your speaking and writing. So this is how you need to start. First of all, moreover, furthermore, also, and however. So now I'm going to give some sort of examples, right? Some sort of examples. You know Trump, right? So now I'm going to talk about the Trump. So, and at the same time, I will use the connectors. So once I'm going to start about the Trump, I'm going to use first in this connectors is first of all. So I can say first of all, you know, Trump is the ex-president of USA. First of all, I would like to say Trump is the ex-president of USA, right? So I gave first information about Trump. Moreover, he's a businessman. What I'm saying is, moreover, he's a businessman. Furthermore, he does business in real estate. Furthermore, he does business in real estate. Also, he has got a lot of properties and lands in different countries. For example, in the UK, he has got, you know, a few golf courts in the UK. So I'm giving another information, and he donates a lot of money to the charity, right? So if I'd like to give more, then I can say um, as well as he is an author, and he wrote different sort of books regarding the business, right? So now I have given a lot of information about the Trump is positive, 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 right? So now I'd like to give some sort of opposite information, which is negative. So to change that direction, you need to use however, but, these sort of things, though, although. So now I can say, however, Trump lost in the last US election. Did you get me? So finally, I would like to say Trump has got positive and negative things in his life. However, to me, he is a successful person in the world. Did you get me? So this is how you need to use connectors. So connectors equals ornaments, and this is how you need to use. First of all, first information, moreover, furthermore, also, and all of a sudden you change the direction, you say however, then finally, right? And the same thing, it can happen. So you are giving a lot of negative information about something, for example, smoking, right? So first of all, I do to say smoking is a bad habit. Moreover, it costs money. Furthermore, it damages your lungs. Also, it damages the environment, or it pollutes the environment, and it drives to death. However, right, so I'm giving a lot of information. First of all, moreover, furthermore, also, and however, some people still smoke because they think this is the cool thing to do. Finally, I'd like to say smoking has got a lot of negative effects in our life. However, we see it still is promoting in the world. Did you get me? How I'm using the connectors, how I'm stacking the information. So especially in your IELTS reading, if you understand these connectors, it's going to help you a lot, because the native authors, native writers, native speakers, they use this format. So especially when you start solving a passage from IELTS reading, you will see they are giving this information using these sort of connectors. First of all, moreover, furthermore. And once you see these connectors, you understand that, okay, so is another positive information, another positive information, another similar information, another similar information. And all of a sudden, when you see however, then you need to be very careful that, okay, now the author is giving some sort of different direction, different information, probably opposite information. So yeah, that's why this is how you understand the pattern of the reading passage. So is it helpful? Please type in the chat box if it is. Type in the chat box helpful, right? So let me repeat where I have started, because some of you have joined a bit late. So just I'd like to recap where we have started. So I said today's class is all about comparison, because you need to know this, especially for two reasons. You need to know this. Number one is in your speaking, you can use this structure like comparison, so positive, comparative, and superlative. And if you can utilize in your speaking and writing, that means you are showing that you have got some sort of English proficiency, right? That's why. And second thing is, especially in IELTS writing, if especially in IELTS writing task 1, so you'll be given some sort of topic to write, and most of the time we see is either pie chart, bar chart, or something like line graph, right? So when you see the cricket match, what do you see? Bangladesh versus Pakistan, or Pakistan versus India. So you see the bowling overs, and these are the line graphs, right? So once you see that, you can understand that, okay, so how the both parties are doing. So once you get it, then you need to describe it. And this is the, especially in IELTS task 1, all you got to do is you need to describe it and you need to write down 150 words. Please type in the chat box how many words at least you need to write for task 1. 150. So you might ask question, so can I write more? Can I write less? Yes, you can do it, plus minus 10%. So probably you got me right. So if it is less than 10%, 150, that's fine as well. If it is more than 150, 10%, that's fine as well. But don't do write too much, because then examiner will say, okay, this person probably he or she doesn't understand the instruction, right? And that's why she has written a lot of things, and I'm going to reduce some marks. So make sure you follow the instruction, right? So yeah, and also I reminded you in the very beginning that if you are still struggling to speak English fluently, and you know the medicine is 4 questions you need to practice 3 times in a day, next 30 days, right? So these are the medicine I have given you. So if your family or friends are struggling to get the fluency, advise them to take this medicine 3 times in a day for next 30 days. The first question they need to practice is, what do you do every day? Second one is, what does your favorite person do every day? Third one is, what did you do yesterday? Fourth one is, what will you do tomorrow? Right. So once you do that, then you'll be a fluent speaker. Then we have started using the comparison. So I asked you, which country is the smallest one in the world, right? And which one is the largest country in the world? So answer is Vatican City and Russia. Can you please type in the chat box quickly if you know this? Type in the chat box Vatican City and Russia. I'd like to see these 2 countries' name on the chat box very quickly. Very quickly, please type in the chat box Vatican City and Russia. Vatican City and Russia. Okay, so these are the 2 countries, Vatican City and Russia. Please type in the chat box Vatican City and Russia. So from now on, don't say Russia in English, say Russia, right? So if you listen to BBC, you will hear this voice, right? Russia, you'll hear this sound. So now we're gonna make comparison. So you see the Vatican City is smaller than Russia, right? So Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Okay, I can see a lot of comments. Others said helpful. Kazi said is very helpful. Okay, thank you for responding. Rukul Mudda said helpful. Thank you for responding. Shibli Rabani said helpful. Thank you for responding. Saifun Jan Shukriya said helpful. Thank you for responding. So right. So please type in the chat box. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Okay, thank you for responding. Yeah, so there are 2 countries we are doing comparison, Vatican City and Russia. So the first comparison we're gonna do is smaller than, right? So Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Type in the chat box very quickly. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. And the next sentence, can you please write in the chat box, is Russia is larger than Vatican City. Russia is larger than Vatican City. So what I recommend you practice with me, so that at the end of the class, randomly you'll be able to utilize this comparison, right? So Vatican City is smaller than Russia, and next sentence is Russia is larger than Vatican City. Russia is larger than Vatican City. Write a bit quickly, please. I'd like to see everyone else's comment. Keep writing, because if you don't write it, if you don't practice with me, you will not get it. So first sentence is Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Second sentence is Russia is larger than Vatican City. Now I'd like to see some comments. So Seven said Vatican City is smaller than Russia. No, Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Okay. Okay, Russell Kabir said Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Excellent. Anwar Mia said Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Excellent. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the next sentence is Russia is larger than Vatican City. Okay, Russell Kabir, thank you for responding. Shukriya, thank you for responding. Rukul Minda, thank you for responding. Okay, so these are the 2 sentences. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Vatican City. Can you please practice with me? Say it aloud, right? Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Vatican City, right? So can you please say it 3 times in one breath? This is the challenge I'm gonna give you. You got to give me these two sentences 3 times in one breath. So for example, like this. Ready? You need to practice with me. So when I say go, you need to give me 3. That means 6 sentences in one breath. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Vatican City. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Vatican City. Vatican City is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Vatican City. Now, if you made 6 sentences, please type in chat box 6. I'd like to see how many of you made 6 sentences with me. Okay, thank you for responding. So now we're gonna make the comparison among 3 countries. Instead of 2, we're gonna make comparison 3 countries: Russia, Bangladesh, and Vatican City. So can you please type in the chat box how many countries you can see on the slide? How many countries you can see on the slide? Type in the chat box very quickly. Okay, so 3. Nuruna said 3. Okay, that means you made 3 sentences. Okay, thank you for responding. Okay, so now please type in the chat box how many countries you can see on the slide. Just type in the chat box. If you can see 3 countries, type in the chat box 3, please. Okay, now what are you gonna do? You're gonna make comparison among these 3 countries: Russia, Bangladesh, and Vatican City. Russia, Bangladesh, and Vatican City, right? So now we're gonna make this comparison. You see, comparison among 3 countries. So if you get 2 countries and you need to do the comparison, we say between. If you say more than 2 countries or 2 things, we use among, right? আমরা 2 এর মধ্যে কম্পারিজনের জন্য আমরা between ইউজ করি, আর 2 এর বেশি যদি হয় তাহলে আমরা কি ইউজ করি? among. For example, among these 3 countries, between 2 countries, among 3 countries, right? So now we're gonna make these sentences. Okay, don't write, just read out with me. So the first sentence you can see: Vatican City is smaller than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is larger than Vatican. So Vatican is the smallest country. Russia is the largest one. Did you get me? Okay, so practice with me. Don't write. Don't write. Ready? Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Vatican is smaller than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is larger than Vatican. So Vatican is the smallest country. Russia is the largest one. Right. So this is the challenge I'm going to give you. You need to give me these 6 sentences using one breath. One breath, right? Ready? Ready? Are you ready? I believe so. So when I say go, you need to give me 6 sentences using one breath. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Vatican is smaller than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is smaller than Russia. Russia is larger than Bangladesh. Bangladesh is larger than Vatican. So Vatican is the smallest country and Russia is the largest one. Right. So if you made 6 sentences using one breath, please type in the chat box 1. Just 1. I'd like to see how many of you made 6 sentences in one breath, especially the comparison. Type in the chat box very quickly. 1. If you made all the sentences using one breath, type in the chat box 1. Okay, now we're gonna do some sort of other comparison as well, right? So pond, river, and sea. Pond, river, and sea. So you can see the 3 things on the screen, right? Pond, river, and sea. Now we're gonna make comparison. So can you please do the comparison using a smaller pond and river? I'd like to see your sentence. How can you make these sentences? Right? So do the comparison between pond and river and use a smaller. Use a smaller. Very quickly, I'd like to see how many of you can make comparison using pond and river and use the word smaller. Very quickly, type in the chat box smaller. Using a smaller, make a sentence doing the comparison pond and river. I'd like to see who can make it fast. Who's gonna be the winner? Let's see who can make this. Who can make this? Very quickly, please type in the chat box pond and river and use a smaller. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Tahuda Akhtar said pond is smaller than river. Excellent. Thank you, Tahuda. Thank you for responding. Okay, now we're gonna make another comparison between river and sea using a smaller. Using a smaller, we're gonna use river and sea, right? So I'd like to see the next sentence. Okay, so Tahuda said river is smaller than sea. River is smaller than sea. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you responding. Nurulida said this pond is smaller than the river. Okay, pond is smaller than river. Okay, excellent. I said Vatican City. Okay, pond is smaller than river. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for responding. Now do the comparison between river and sea. So river is smaller than sea. Okay, I'd like to see quick comment. River is smaller than sea. Okay, now we're gonna do the reverse, right? So now sea and river, using the bigger, please type in the chat box a sentence. Use bigger than and make the comparison between river and sea. Very quickly, please type in the chat box. Okay, very quickly type in the chat box using river and sea and use the comparison bigger than. Using bigger than, give me a sentence with river and sea. Okay, so I'd like to see the first answer. Okay, by this time I can see a lot of answer here. Pond is smaller than river. Okay, Rukulmida. So the spelling should be THAN, not THEN. Then, right? River is smaller than sea. Okay, excellent. Thank you for responding. So now using the bigger, I'd like to see a sentence. Okay, excellent. Got it. Thank you. Alamgir said river is bigger than pond. Okay, so between sea and river. Sorry, between sea and river. Yeah, that's right. Excellent. Excellent. Now I got it. So Nurul Ridna said sea is bigger than river. That's right. Sea is bigger than river. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. Sea is bigger than river. Okay. And now I'd like to see the next sentence between river and pond. Use bigger than. River and pond. Use bigger than. Very quickly, please type in the chat box. Do the comparison between river and pond and use the comparison bigger than. Bigger than. Okay, Rukul Midar said sea is bigger than river. Okay, Rukul, still you're making mistakes. Right, so not THEN. The spelling should be THAN then. So in comparison, we say then, right? Bigger than, smaller than. Okay. Okay. Type in the chat box very quickly between river and pond. So the sentence should be river is bigger than pond. Excellent, Ridna. River is bigger than pond. Can you please type in the chat box, everyone else? I'd like to see this sentence. River is bigger than pond. Excellent, Alamgir. Thank you for responding. River is bigger than pond. Now, I'd like to see the final comparison. So the biggest and the smallest. Can you please give me two sentences using the biggest and the smallest? The biggest and the smallest. Using the biggest and the smallest, I'd like to see two sentences in the comment box. Right? I'll be waiting 30 seconds to see your answer. Then we're gonna move on. Okay, by this time I can see a lot of comments. So Alamgir said river is bigger than pond. Anormia said river is bigger than pond. Excellent. River is bigger than pond. Excellent. Thank you. River is bigger than pond. Yeah. So now give me two sentences using smallest and the biggest. Very quickly. So among these three things, which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest? Okay. So Alamgir says, so pond is the smallest than other. Okay. So you can say pond is the smallest among these three things. Pond is the smallest one among these three things. And sea is the biggest one. So pond is the smallest one. Sea is the biggest one among these three things, right? Please type in the chat box. I'd like to see these two sentences. If you say C is the biggest than other, no, Alamgir. If you say C is the biggest thing among these three things, or C is the biggest one, you cannot do the comparison once you say biggest. So there is no comparison with the biggest. You should say pond is the smallest one and C is the biggest one among these three things. C is the biggest one among these three things. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for responding. C is the THE. Anormia, you need to put the C is the biggest. Okay, C is biggest. No, Anwar, you are confusing yourself. So your answer should be C is bigger than river. C is larger than other two. Okay. C is bigger than ocean. Okay. You can do a lot of comparison. So when you say the biggest or the smallest, so you can do the comparison saying then, right? So that's the superlative degree. For example, the Russia is the largest country in the world. That's it. Vatican City is the smallest country in the world. That's it. Right. So this is how we need to do the comparison. Now, I'd like to share with you something. It's going to help you in your IELTS speaking and also writing as well. See, now instead of saying the pond, river, and sea, now I'm saying the size of pond, the size of river, the size of sea, right? So this is how we're going to make a lot of sentences. So now I'm going to make a few sentences. So practice with me. The first one is the size of pond is smaller than the size of river. Okay, repeat with me. The size of pond is smaller than the size of river, right? The size of river is smaller than the size of river is smaller than the size of sea. So instead of saying the size of sea, we can say that of sea. So I repeat, instead of saying the size of, we can say that of. For example, so we say pronoun, right? When we speak, for example, instead of saying Tony, we say he. Instead of saying Jennifer, we say she. Instead of saying rice, we say eat. Instead of saying Jennifer, Tony, we say they, right? So it's the same way, it's the similar way. You need to use this. The size of river is smaller than the size of sea. Instead of saying the size of sea, you can say that of. So that means the size of equals that of. Did you get me? So once you use this that of, that means the examiner will understand, well, you have got really English proficiency, especially when it comes in writing, right? So try to utilize this sort of variation and to get a better score in IELTS. So the size of pond is smaller than the size of river. The size of river is smaller than that of sea. The size of sea is bigger than that of river. The size of river is bigger than that of pond. So pond is the smallest one and sea is the largest one. Okay, so you need to do the comparison like this way. So please type in the chat box if you understood this whole thing. Type in the chat box understood. Very quickly, type in the chat box understood. I'd like to see how many of you really understood it. Okay, so next comparison between village, district, and country. And I would like to ask you to give me 6 sentences. The first one is village and district, and use the size of as well. So the size of village is ... then district, then that of district, right? So please type in the chat box. What would be the first sentence? Do the comparison between village and district. I'd like to see your comment. Do the comparison between village and district. And here is the one thing, most of the students, they make mistake when they're writing this structure. So please type in the chat box, how do you do the comparison between village and district? So if you ask me, I'm going to say the size of village is smaller than the size of district, right? So instead of saying that, if I say the size of village is smaller than district, that means this is wrong sentence. This is the wrong comparison. you cannot do the compare with the size of village with district, but you can do the comparison with the size of village with the size of district. So it has to be the similar comparison. Otherwise, it's gonna be the wrong comparison. Did you get me? I repeat. So when you do the comparison with the size, the other part has to be size as well. For example, the size of village is smaller than the size of district, right? But if you say the size of village is smaller than district, that means this is the wrong sentence. This is the wrong comparison. You cannot do the comparison with the size and district. You got to do the comparison between the size of village and the size of district. So if you really understood, please type in the chat box understood. Type in the chat box understood. And then give me one sentences using village and district. I'd like to see your comment. And use a smaller than. The size of village is, yeah, give me one sentence. So use the size of. Use the size of. Very quickly. Okay, now I can see if you comment, Kazi, as if said the size of village is smaller than district. No, Kazi, you made a mistake. So the sentence should be the size of village is smaller than the size of district. If you don't put size of, that means you are doing the wrong comparison. You cannot do the comparison with size and district. So you got to do the compare with the size of village with the size of district. So the right sentence would be the size of village is smaller than the size of district. Did you get me? So I'd like to see this sentence. Can you please type in the chat box? The size of village is smaller than the size of district. Excellent, Saifun Jan Shukriya. You nailed it. Okay, Alamgir Islam said the size of village is smaller than the size of district. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for responding. I'd like to see more comments. Type in the chat box. If you don't write it down, if you don't practice with me, you'll be confused. You wouldn't be able to use in your speaking and writing. So do it right now. Right now. Right. So next comparison is between district and country. So the same way, please write down the sentence. District and country. So the size of district. Very quickly, please type in the chat box. The size of district. The size of district. The size of district is smaller than the size of country. Very quickly, please type in the chat box. The size of district is smaller than the size of country. The size of district is smaller than the size of country. Excellent. Thank you for responding. Alamgir said the size of district is smaller than the size of country. Excellent. Thank you. Kazi said the size of district is smaller than the size of country. Excellent. Thank you. The size of, okay. Now we do the reverse, right? So the country and district and a smaller. So using a smaller, the size of country is smaller. No, the size of country is bigger than the size of district. Type in the chat box. I'd like to see. The size of country is bigger than the size of district. Type in the chat box. I mean, if you don't practice a lot, it confuses you, right? So that's why you need to practice a lot. So please give me a sentence comparing these two things, district and country, and use bigger than. So the size of country is bigger than the size of district. Okay. And now do the comparison between district and village. So the size of district is bigger than the size of village. Type in the chat box very quickly. So I can see a lot of comments here. So Rukulmida said the size of village is smaller than the size of district. Okay, excellent. Next one, Anna said the size of village is smaller than the size of district. Okay, excellent. Thank you. The size of village is smaller than the size of district. Thank you, Alamgir. Noyan said the size of
unknown caller.
So sorry for that. So the size of country is bigger than the size of district. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Noyan. Next is the size of country is bigger than the size of district. Excellent, Kazi. The size of district is smaller than the size of country. The size of district. Okay, excellent. Thank you for responding. I think now you are getting this. Rukul said the size of district is smaller than the size of district is smaller than the size of the country. No, Rukul Mirda. So last part, I think you mistyped. The size of district is bigger than the size of village. No, so you missed is. The size of district is bigger than the size of village. Thank you. Thank you for responding. Right. So now, if I ask you, which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest? Type in the chat box. Which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest? So among these three things, which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest? I'd like to see your comment. I'd like to see your comment. Which one among these three things, which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest? Which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest? Okay, so now we're gonna make a lot of sentences. Are you ready? You got to practice with me. So we're gonna start with village, then district, then country, then we're gonna reverse. Country, district, and village. Then we're gonna say among these three things, village is the smallest one and country is the biggest one. Okay, so we're gonna start with very beginning, village and district. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. The size of village is smaller than the size of district. The size of district is smaller than the size of country. The size of country is bigger than the size of district. The size of district is bigger than the size of village. So among these three places, village is the smallest one and the country is the largest one. Have you made it? If you made it, please type in the chat box, yes, I made it. Yes, I made it. Don't write, just practice with me. So we're gonna do the comparison right now. The size of village is smaller. Ready? So when I say go, you need to speak loudly with me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. The size of village is smaller than the size of district. The size of district is smaller than the size of country. The size of country is bigger than the size of district. And the size of district is bigger than the size of village. Among these three places, village is the smallest one and country is the biggest one. Okay, so you got to do this comparison time and again, time and again. For example, now if I ask you, which one is the biggest division in your country? Which one is the biggest division in your country? Type in the chat box. Which one is the biggest division in your country? And which one is the smallest division in your country? Type in the chat box very quickly. I'd like to see your comment if you know that, right? And after that, so just take another division and do the comparison, right? So for example, X is the biggest division in my country and Y is the smallest division in my country. And then X is bigger than Y, Y is bigger than X. So this is how, and Y is smaller than X. This is how you need to do the comparison, X, Y, Z, right? So this is how I would say you need to do the comparison. This is your brainstorming. Once we finish the class, see something and just do the comparison here and there. So once you start making a lot of sentences in your head, you will get it, right? So now I think you understood it. So I have already shared it with the connectors. Connectors means ornaments. So you need to use these connectors to sound your language better. So please do it. Now this is your homework I'd like to give you, but we haven't done yet, right? Stay with me. So I repeat, tomorrow's class will be 1 hour earlier. So make sure you jump into the class on time, right? So the homework is, all you go to this, you need to introduce yourself first. Then You need to describe how did you find hassle-free education, right? So now the next question is, can you speak English now? Can you speak English now? And the next is, what did you learn over these 8 days, right? So we have completed 8, and today our 9th class. So you can say over 9 days. So what did you learn over these 9 days? And what's your aha moment of this course, right? So let me explain what I mean by aha moment. For example, when I came to this country, so I have seen a lot of new things, but once we try to get a bus, everyone's standing in a queue, everyone stands in a line, and that's my aha moment when I saw it, right? Because in my country I didn't see this culture. I mean, everybody is standing on the queue, and when the bus comes, they go there, they show their ticket, and that's the aha moment in the UK, right? For example, so what's your aha moment of this course? It might be recording the video, it might be someone said a good things about your presentation. What is your aha moment? I don't know. You need to find it out. And the next question is, how can you improve more, right? So how can you improve more? So the answer might be, if you practice these 4 questions every single day 3 times in next 30 days, you can improve more, right? Or I mean, if you go for IELTS course, by the way, still can you remember that if I get 30 winners, that means, what I mean by winners is, if you do all the classes and if you submit your homework, and once you claim your certificate, 30 students claim certificate, I'm gonna give you free IELTS course. Please type in the chat box, free IELTS, if you do understand what I just said. Let me say it one more time. So if I see that 30 students finished this course, completed their homework, submitted to the Facebook group UK Study Visa, and after that they claim the certificate and they post it in the Facebook group as well, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 29, 30. So once I see 30 students claim their certificate, that means I got 30 winners. And for 30 winners, I'm going to give you a free course. It's called free IELTS. So it's a complete course, and it's going to cost me like 1,500 to 2,000 pounds. I'm willing to do that, but you got to come across to me as well. And what I mean by that is, you got to do your work as well. You need to prove yourself that I'm serious. I would like to improve my English. I'd like to change my life through education. I'd like to study abroad. So that's why I'm here. I'm serious, right? So that's why I'd like to request you, please keep uploading your homework. I know this is a big commitment. What happened is, in the morning. So this is a big commitment for me as well. It's not only you. So in the morning around 2 o'clock, my wife, she made a mistake as well, because the time has been changed for 1 hour, and she didn't put the alarm on time, and she got a work around 4 o'clock, right? So she needs to go to work at 4 o'clock. However, I was doing something and I couldn't finish it, and I was keep doing the work. So around half past, not half past, I think around 3 o'clock, she called me, and she is a bit stressed. She said, I was supposed to be there. I'm general manager of that organization, and I'm getting late. Can you please help me? Can you please drop me to the Stansted Airport? Normally she takes a taxi and she goes to the train station, and from a train station she goes there like 15 minutes, and in different time she takes the bus, and it takes like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, but she goes on by on her own. But today she said, can you please drop me? So I drove down to the Stansted Airport. I came back, and when I came back, it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I was thinking, oh my God, can I wake up? Can I get up on time? Can I take the class? And I made another mistake. So I didn't realize it's gonna be 9 o'clock UK time, right? So I woke up like 7:30. Then I got ready to conduct the class. I came here and I started live streaming. And all of a sudden, I found that, okay, nobody is here. What's the reason? Why I'm alone, right? And then I checked, WhatsApp group. There is no message as well. I said, is there something wrong? And all of a sudden, I found that, well, so this is the time difference. That's why it happened. So I understood, and I, stopped streaming, and I did the announcement as well that I'll come back in 1 hour. So did you get it? So I'm committed to you as well, and the same way you got to be committed to me as well, right? So if you are not committed, you can't change your life. The first thing is you got to be committed. Second thing is you got to be focused. And once you have the combination of these two things, commitment and focus, you're gonna achieve whatever you want to achieve, right? So yeah, so you need to, and also you need to give us some sort of feedback, any comments, positive or negative comments about Hassle-Free Education team, about me, about anything. And finally, the question is, would you recommend us? I mean, your friends and family members. And if your answer is yes, then explain why. If your answer is no, I don't like to recommend you or your organization, then I'll also explain why. Then that's going to be real feedback for us, and we're going to do some sort of correction. We're going to try to improve ourselves, our organization as well. And this is how we would like to stay in the top, right? So now, this is your homework. So how many of you would like to give the homework on this topic? Please type in the chat box, me. Literally, I'd like to see how many of you would like to give a presentation on this homework. So this is how I need to give this presentation. Hi, everyone. Good morning. This is Habib, and I'm from United Kingdom. Today, I'd like to share the topic. The topic is about Hassle-Free Education. Basically, Hassle-Free Education I found online. One of the team member from Hassle-Free Education sent me a message and asked either I'm interested or not to do a course. Is completely free, and I was much more interested. I mean, who is gonna give the free things, and whether it's gonna be the valuable thing or not. So then I showed my interest, and they added me on WhatsApp group, and I started getting a lot of messages. What's going to happen next? And then, yeah, so this is how I found Hassle-Free Education. I can speak English now a bit better, I would say, when I started the class number 1. So in this course, I attended all the classes. I practiced, I learned so many things, and also I gave the presentation. By giving the presentation, I'm improving my presentation skill, I'm improving my speaking. And over these 9 days, I have learned so many things. Number 1 is how to introduce myself, how to talk all day long, how to talk about the favorite person, and how to talk about the past event, how to talk about future event, and so many things. Still, I can recollect that. So the aha moment of this course is recording the on mobile phone and uploading the homework. So I never ever heard my voice recording. So once I started doing that, from the very beginning, I hated it, but now I love my voice. And yeah, so this is the aha moment I have got. And definitely there is no end of improving. I can improve a lot of ways, but I'd like to mention one of them is, if I get the medicine, whatever prescribed by my teacher, like I need to practice 4 questions every single day, 3 times in a day for next 30 days. And if I do that, definitely I'm confident that I'll improve my fluency. And I have got so many positive comments about Hassle-Free Education, because they are, I would say, professional. Every single day, they reminded me when I have got the class, like 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, we are live now. And that helped me to come to the class on time. And secondly, they are very helpful. They gave a lot of information. And on the top of that, once I improve my English skill and sit for IELTS exam and get a better score, I'll come back to them, because they will not charge even a single penny for their service. So with that sort of services, I definitely want to study abroad. And of course, I recommend my friends and family members because first of all, moreover, furthermore. So thanks for listening to me. Thank you, everyone. So this is how I need to give a presentation, and I need to talk at least 5 minutes, right? So who can give the presentation? Okay, so Alamgir said me, Kazi said me, Anormia said me. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. So what about others? You don't like to give the presentation. Can you please type in the chat box, why don't you like to give the presentation? What's the reason you're not giving presentation? Type in the chat box. Just, I'm curious, I'd like to see. Is it you are busy, you are bullshitting yourself, you are not committed, you are not focused, you don't see the future? I mean, if you learn this English, if you get 6 in IELTS, what's going to happen next? How that's going to change your life? As it helped me, it changed my life, right? So I was, from a lower middle class family. My dad and mom, they are the primary school teachers, right? And they supported me financially, whatever they could do for me. And from there, just I changed my whole life through my effort, hard work, and commitment. So you can do so as well if you do this. So just imagine that if you learn the English language, and if you get a better score in IELTS exam, what's going to happen next? And if you can't have a better score in IELTS exam, what's going to happen? What are you going to do in your life? So if you just keep thinking this, is going to give you a lot of interest, is going to push you a lot, is going to move you a lot emotionally, that, okay, if I get a better score in IELTS, I can, study abroad, for example, United Kingdom. And once I settle there, I can help my family, I can help my parents, I can donate so much money here and there, I can help my charity in my locality, I can help mosque, I can help church, I can help temple. These are the things, right? So so that's why you got to do this. Okay, so please give your presentation. Give your presentation. Can you remember from the very beginning I said is learning, practicing, and presentation. So these are the 3 things. There's the whole structure of this course: learning, then practicing, and presentation. So if you do learning, if you do a lot of practicing, and if you don't give the presentation, it doesn't help you a lot. Of course, you're gonna know a lot of things, probably you are getting better, but you are not getting that much benefit of what you are supposed to do. This is my challenge, right? So I told you, if you attend classes for 12 days, 5, 10, 12, right? 12 days, you will be a fluent speaker if you just follow my instruction, right? So that's why I would urge you, I would request you, please do the presentation. Okay. So Kazi said, sometimes I couldn't upload my presentation due to my office work, but whenever I got time, I uploaded the presentation. Thank you, Kazi, for acknowledging that. Yeah, that's right. So I appreciate that. So yeah, that's the thing you can do, is the class is recorded. I mean, if you miss any class, so watch this and then give your presentation. And this is how you're gonna improve your English skill. And also, I'd like to remind you one more thing is what I was supposed to say. Okay, so also, can you remember I told you that repetition is the mother of all skills? So if you still can remember, please type in the chat box. Repetition is the mother of all skills. So all you got to do is you got to repeat this class. So for example, you are doing something, or you are running, you are walking, you are doing other sort of jobs, you are cooking. All you can do, if you've got Wi-Fi, just put the earphone, right? And then keep listening the classes. Do whatever you need to do. You are cleaning your houses, do so, but keep listening the lectures. And this is how you're gonna get, because what I believe and understand is, for the first time, even for me, is I don't understand 100%, probably 60%, 50%, 70%, something like this. But if I go over the same lecture, then I understand 80%, 90%, 100%. So the more I visit the lectures, I understand more. So please type in the chat box. Still, you can remember repetition is the mother of all skills. All you got to do is you need to repeat, repeat, and repeat. So, dear viewers, I mean, if you are watching from this YouTube and if you are watching recorded version, please type in the chat box replay. I'd like to see how many of you are watching this class, enjoying this class in a replay mode, right? So please type in the chat box replay. Then I'll understand, well, you follow my instruction. You understand what's the importance of repetition. Repetition is the mother of all skills. So that's why you got to repeat, repeat, and repeat, right? So we are about to finish our class right now. So please type in the chat box if you have got any questions. Any questions, please type in the chat box. Any questions, if you have got, please type in the chat box. So what's going to happen in the next class is we're going to learn some sort of cool stuff, right? So that's called transformation. Now, I'm going to tell you the importance of transformation. So, you know, when the examiner, IELTS examiner, they see you writing, or when they listen to you and they try to understand, can you use the variation of sentences? That's the only thing they're looking for, right? Other things as well, but that's the main thing they're looking for. Can you use the variety of sentences? Can you use the variation of structures? Can you say the same thing in different ways? That's the only thing they're looking for. So how are you gonna do it? So 3 ways you can do it. 3 ways you can show your English proficiency. Number 1, using passive voice. So what you learned and practice a lot in the last class. Make sure you give a presentation answering 3 questions. How is the biryani cooked? How was the biryani cooked? And how will the biryani be cooked? So if you practice using the passive, then you understand the structure, you know how to utilize it, right? So that's the one way to do the variation of your sentence. The second way is, today we have learned how to do the comparison. So especially bigger, smaller, better, all right? So biggest, smallest. So if you use this kind of sentences, that means the examiner understands that, okay, you have got a good comment on comparison, right? And the next thing is we're gonna learn in the next class is all about comparison. So the same sentence, how you can do it from simple to compound, compound to complex. So if you know how to do that change, how to do the transformation from simple to complex, complex to compound, that means you know how to show the variety of sentences. So that's why I'd like to request you, practice this time and again. And next class, don't miss it. Come to the class on time. I'm committed, and you got to be committed as well. So see you in the next class, and until then, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.